Welcome to your Veterans Resource Podcast, Return to Roots. This podcast is for service members and their family members regarding retention, transition, and reintegration from active duty to veterans in the community. Hi, I'm your host, Chris Elder, an active duty senior chief in the United States Navy, and my partner in crime slash host is Yogi Hernandez, who's an active duty chief in the Navy. Together, we are documenting our experiences as we prepare to transition and reintegrate into the community. Every podcast will have actionable content that will benefit American service members and their families, as well as those who have already transitioned and reintegrated. This is a warning for all you listeners that may have little ears around you. Please make sure that you listen to the material first before you let little ears hear it. And if you have any experiences where it triggers anything, there is a program that you could use. It's called Courage to Call 211, and they can help you. Welcome to Return to Roots Mil2Vet podcast. Today we are privileged to have Darron Lewis, a Navy veteran, talk about his testimonial on transitioning from the military and reintegrating into the community.
Darron, how are you doing? We want to know a bit about who you are, what you are, why you here, what brought you to this point. You know, a little bit about your story, how long you were in, how long ago you transitioned out, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So hello, my name is Darron Lewis. I was in the United States Navy from 2012 to 2017. I did 4 years active and 1 year in the reserves, and I got out in 2017. And I've been living in Seattle, Washington ever since then. So for about 11 to 12 years now. And I've had a bunch of jobs. I've done things, and I have my own place here. I'm pretty much have roots established here. I'm an active member of my community, so yeah, I've really set roots here in Seattle. And I engage in mutual aid work, and I've done equity and social justice work around here as well. So yeah, I'm just a veteran who's used some of my services and interacted with some other ones, and I I just
Bro,
engage.
so so walk me through your last day in the Navy. What was that like for you, man? Like walking off walking off the USS Nimitz, because for those of you that probably don't know, um, uh, Darren and I served together.
Yeah. You were my chief, my AZ chief, actually. Yeah,
What
it
else
was
do I know
wild.
about that?
Huh? It was a fun time. It was a fun time. He was actually quite chiefly indeed. um, no, yeah, it was wild. In a lot of ways, it felt like if you remember what it was like to step off the bus and walk into the Golden 13, it was kind of a lot like that, actually, believe it or not. Yeah, it was like you were stepping off of a bus you had been on for a few hours into a whole nother room where a different group of people are about to yell your name really loud. So, so it kind of had a similar feeling. You were you've been sort of acclimated into this Navy life where you've had like a routine for so long, and you've made these connections, and then your BCS is coming up or your time is coming up, and then you have DD 214 in hand, and that's almost like it almost feels like orders, like, oh, I'm supposed to go somewhere else. And then you kind of start that process, and pretty much up until the second or third day you don't come back for like watch or whatever, it still kind of feels like like you didn't really leave, or you're constantly kind of checking your phone or watching your emails and just like making sure no one's, wait, chief called me. So yeah, I just felt like I was kind of being PCS to somewhere else. But
I remember you telling me the story, a sea bag, and eventually you found a Metro card, so you had the clothes on your back, and then a sea bag and a Metro card.
yeah. Yeah, so like I'm not sure how many people are aware, but basically when you get out of the Navy, or at least when I got out of the Navy, they gave you a few options on what to do afterward. You could go back to where you joined the Navy from, i.e., your hometown, where you mapped in at. You could go somewhere else. You could stay there. If you go back home, they'll pay for you a plane ticket. And you'll get some different money under some special circumstances. But in my particular case, I was just staying right here in Washington, just go over Seattle. So the Navy got me a ferry ticket. Said, thanks for the labor there, Chief," and they sent me across the water. And I kind of just had my sea bag and two other bags full of my stuff from Iraq with me when I got on the Bremerton ferry to downtown Seattle. And when the ferry landed over the pier, I was like, "Well, I'm in Seattle and I'm homeless. So let's dance. Let's see what's going on." But again, it felt like I was still, in a lot of ways kind of in, because when you get out that early, you still have connections with like Navy Marine Corps Relief Society and a bunch of these like veteran groups that kind of seem to fade out the longer you get. So yeah, when I got to the ferry, I walked a few blocks and found the King County Public Health Outreach Office and talked to somebody there, told them exactly what had just happened. And then, long story short, I left with some health care. I got a discounted bus pass, and I got some job and housing referrals. So, and then the rest is kind of history from there. I've been thriving in Seattle ever since.
So you mentioned you were homeless. How did that come into play? Did you not have a plan? Did your plan just, disintegrate at the last minute, or what?
Yeah, I didn't have a plan. I knew I didn't necessarily want to return home. you there's a bunch of opportunity up here, so I do it when if I kept the willpower amongst myself and kept a good circle of people, I knew I wouldn't be down too long. I knew it was a temporary state, so very light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. And I knew Seattle seemed like the kind of place I wanted to be at long term, and it seemed worth it to do it. So I didn't really have a plan as to like a short term plan, which is how I ended up like that. But I had a long term plan, which is how I ended up like this.
Nice,
Uh,
man. So,
thank you, thank
when
you.
when you got out, you went to King County. They helped you out,
Yeah,
and that kind of highlights some points that kind of just like, man, as I was hearing your story, it's just like, people that don't go to these transition classes and don't take serious notes and don't try to enroll in their VA benefits and don't submit their claims. Your
well,
story right there just kind of speaks to it, right?
yeah, absolutely. If you'll have two types of people in the military. Some will tell you to get everything on paper, document everything, and others tell you if you keep going to medical, you are going to go to mass. So if you kind of have the know-how or the understanding, or you have a good enough like mentor to know, no, this is the one you do. Yeah, please listen to that person. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that whole entire mentality, what you just said there, it's something that we need to flip the script on.
Hmm.
Is you're not being a sick bay commando, you're getting help.
Yeah.
You know,
Sick pay commando. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't enjoy medical. The bed is cold, and they're probably gonna put needles in me somewhere. I'd much rather be with my homies, but it is what it is. I'm being used like a rental car. Stuff's gonna break. I don't know what to tell you. Like heat exhaustion gonna exhaust. It just
yeah,
is what it is. Sorry about it. Yeah, next time
right.
I'll try to be human, I promise.
How far in advance did you go to the classes and stuff like that? To the TAPS class and
Ooh,
stuff like that?
that's a good question. I think I went to TAPS like maybe 3 days before I got out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was very, very close. And I didn't find it the most helpful for me, but it's because I just have never done well in class settings. That's why I was in the Navy in the first place. I'm kidding.
You know, a lot of a lot of people don't realize what TAPS class is meant for. It's an informational based process, and a lot of people put a lot
Mm,
of weight behind it. And even though like the people that are instructing it, most of them are passionate people about helping.
Absolutely.
But it's just so much information. It's the proverbial fire truck that runs over the Seaman Timmy that's about to get out. And Seaman Timmy is thirsty for knowledge, right? He's so thirsty that this fire
Definitely.
truck, full of water, full of knowledge, it just runs him over, and then as it's backing up back over him, they're wondering why Seaman Timmy is still thirsty for knowledge. And
Yeah.
when you realize as you're getting out, when you realize as you're getting out, it's not designed to set you up. It's designed to
Yeah.
inform you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Did you
Definitely. Yeah.
were you aware of the ability to submit your VA claims about 180 days prior to you getting out of the Navy or anything like that?
I don't think so.
So and that's one of the things that we want to talk about when we do this kind of podcast shows, to bring awareness to the things that are available, that are there. Unfortunately, um, I would say for everyone that is very junior, I would even be willing
Mhm.
to say everyone, a big majority of the E5 and below, they have no awareness of what the VA is, what a VA
Yeah.
claim is, their ability to submit their VA claims prior to 180 days before they transition out.
Yeah.
And most of that is because of, like, your specific perfect scenario. You went to TAPS class 3 days before you got out, or
Yeah.
within that time frame, right? And
Yeah.
that timeline doesn't give you, the only thing that is on your mind, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if I'm overstepping, but the only thing that you have on your mind is, I'm saying goodbye. I don't care about any of this. My bags are packed. I'm out of here. The only thing that I
Yeah.
care about is, when can I stop standing watch? When are all these people just gonna get off my back so that I can just be a civilian again?
Definitely. I wouldn't even add to that. It was definitely, that was definitely on my mind. And it was also on my plate, right? It is a lot of like, yo, I'm just done with the Navy. Let me, like, the last thing a sailor wants before they leave the Navy is one more PowerPoint. If the Navy does the most insulting thing to people leaving the military, it's wait, just one more PowerPoint, just one more NKO, I swear. And you're like gritting your teeth, like. But then on that same frame, it's also, there was a lot on my plate too. It wasn't the case with me, but with a lot of sailors, they're getting ready to move whole countries, or they move their whole families ahead of them already getting out. And so sometimes it's I want to get out of the military, but also it's, I got to think of the movers and the house and where the kids are gonna go, and all this stuff is on my mind and on my plate. And then sometimes an informational TAPS class I can understand how it could fall by the wayside. I definitely can see it. Even for even
Right.
for people who are supposed to send sailors there, I could see how it could fall by the wayside, because while TAPS is happening, regular ship ops and work still has to go on, and that's a very specialized need for something that's part of a whole unit.
And
I
so
can see how it fall by the wayside.
from everyone on the perspective of, that has transition that we talk to now, is
Mhm.
there, in black and white, it says that you can attend TAPS class up to 2 years before you get out, right? And transitionally
My
throughout
bad.
your service. However, just like you didn't know that. And also
Mm-mm.
because it gets in the way of your transition. And what happens also, a lot of people, it's a little bit more difficult nowadays, because it is more final, when you
Mhm.
say, I'm no longer going to be in the Navy. Back 12 years ago, it was, you could be at the last day and say, you know what, I changed my mind, I'm still going to stay in, right?
Really?
Whereas, yeah, whereas now it is, once you get once you hit your window, it's, you say you're not going to stay in. Are you sure? Are you really sure? Here's this
Yeah.
paper, sign it. Once you say you're really sure and you sign this paper, you're done. Like, you're really done,
Yeah.
right? Whereas I remember about 10, 12 years ago, you could be literally at the door and say, "Hey, I take it back. Call the detailers. Get me in."
Right.
Or my wife got pregnant. My girlfriend got pregnant. Whatever it is, I'm getting married. I have a child. Please, for the love of God, do whatever you need to keep me in. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've had a lot of sailors
Absolutely.
that happened to. And so you like literally drop everything. You're like, let me help this guy out, right? Or
Yeah.
this gal or this sailor. But now, you know, and that gave a lot more flexibility with the TAPS classes, whereas now
Yeah.
they're more rigid, right? And there's, I think, more
Yeah.
structure to it too. But there's
Yeah.
still a lot of sailors that still end up just going out with the TAPS class or just the capstone, which is now to your fun on PowerPoints. It is a virtual class that is about a 4 or 5 hour long class, right? And you just click through it, right? So it's at your own discretion, at your own pace, right? And so
Yeah. Okay.
what do sailors do, right? There's no test, there's no nothing. So what do? They just click through it. They just click through it. They just
Like
get
I'm gonna keep.
certificates and click through it.
Like I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna keep it a buck 50. I'm gonna click through it. Like I'm not gonna read it because it takes too long. I got ADHD like that. Like lots of words on a page will send me running to the hills. I need pictures, colors, and shapes. Like man. One of the reasons why I clicked through was because the bar to click through was in a shape that was easy to see. And like all the letters. Oh man.
See,
Yeah. No,
and
you're
that's a
you're
lot of
exactly right.
people. A lot of people, they whenever they attend to virtual ones, they're not getting any substance, and I understand why they had to do virtual during COVID, but people are starting to attend the in class ones. You know, I could talk to the in class one that I just attended over here at Point Loma, and it was rather good.
Oh, nice.
I'm hearing good reviews on some of the ones up in Miramar as well.
Okay,
There is a lot of like improvement happening. And now the
I
capstone
love that.
class, right? The capstone class nowadays, you actually have to sit with somebody to go over your transition plan before
Mm.
they'll even let you pretty much transition out. You could choose not to do it, but it's pretty much like, hey, you can't take advantage of skill bridge. You can't take advantage of leaving early on leave and going because the command's not
Oh,
supposed to approve your leave and your transfer stuff until your capstone's done. So,
oh
and it
man.
even affects things like your DD2 13. They're trying their hardest to improve it. It's but
Yeah,
still people fall into the cracks. And just
yeah.
because they're in the seat, just because they have the trough in front of them, doesn't mean that you could shove their head in there and make them drink, right? Some
Yeah,
people,
you can lead a horse to water.
exactly, you know, and the thing is, the reason why it's like that is because most of these people are trying to digest what's happening to them. And
Yeah.
if they're starting, you know, last minute, man, it's just, I've been telling people ever since I started doing my process, I'm like 2 years out. 2 years out, you need to
Mm.
start thinking about this stuff. 2 years out, you need to sign up for TAPS or CRS.
Yeah.
2 years out, you need to
Oof.
start making your plan. And you know, hey, I joined the Navy for a 4 year stint, and you know, first couple of years, I hardcore trying to learn my job and stuff like that. But if you're only going to stay in for 4 years, you know, that last part, you need to say, well, what's next? And
Yeah.
I know I've preached this to you before because you're one of my old sailors, but you got to plan to stay in and you got to plan to get out.
Boy, yeah. First of all, you have said that to me before, and it frankly took me back. I feel very attacked. I feel very 23. I feel very junior sailor. Somebody in my college last quarter said the word shitmate, and I'm pretty sure I dropped my coffee on the ground. And I was like, how dare you? Who are you yelling at? No, no. It's like you can't just go around saying things like that all willy-nilly.
Battle stations.
Yeah, yeah. Don't don't say that around me. I'll break a window for a fire extinguisher. Like, don't do
Nah,
that.
man. No, you're gonna go find that stretcher. You're my stretcher bearer,
Man.
bro.
Oh man. Okay, that one hurt. Oh, that one hurt right here. Oh, they're so heavy. Okay.
Oh man, I'm bringing you back,
Yeah.
aren't I?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's oh god, it's so cold. I'm kidding.
For the record,
I'm kidding.
the Navy right now is hiring, right? Especially veterans, and they're
Yeah.
offering up to 150K to come back in. So this is your opportunity. He's trying to recruit you back in.
You know,
so all these struggles that
tempting.
we were talking about with the VA, you could get them fixed. You have a second time to go around.
Yes,
look at that! I'm selling you back in. What's up?
Please, sir, may I have some more? Oh man.
Oh,
Yeah,
brother.
no. I hold my rank as veteran quite well. I'm a chief in this. No, yeah, and I think you're right, Chris. I think you're entirely right. You know, you had mentioned earlier something about, TAPS class not being necessarily there to plan for you, to do these things for you, and maybe that's something they could look into doing. Not necessarily like spoon feed you through it, but like, if you're gonna talk to me about how to get my 10% disability at the VA doing this, why don't we just go take a car and just go do it right fast? We have the cars, we have the resources, we have the money. Just take me, go do that. Bring me back here. We'll continue the class. Maybe because people learn at different rates, and not everyone's gonna sit in the class. Like y'all said, we all just gonna click through. That'll get us to actually do it, and it's hands on, and it's a universal way to detect it. Maybe we should invest in more. Hey, come on, let's go do it. I'll do it with you. Like, fill this out. I
Brother,
got you here and whatnot.
I love it, man. And that's what we're doing here. That's why we do these podcasts, is because
I
there's
see.
actually people out there that help you out with this process. And
There is.
the more that people listen to episodes like this and hear testimonies like yours and hear resources uh, from other organizations out there, they're going to get informed. They're going to be able to formulate a plan and realize, oh, well, TAPS class isn't going to do this for me, but there's a resource out there that will.
Absolutely.
But speaking
Yeah.
of that, 100%. What was one of the organizations that you were in contact with that helped you out? What have you experienced since you've been out when it comes to these nonprofit organizations, or any organizations that maybe not treated you so well?
Fortunately, I'm in a place with like a lot of different veteran organizations. The county, the local governments themselves have their own individual veteran services, but there are countless veterans organizations here, including DVA, Hiring for Heroes, and what is that? They go around and they volunteer and raise money for veterans lounges at colleges. I want to say it's AmeriCorps, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it might be AmeriCorps. And treated well by all of them. I think people who start those organizations have a drive and an understanding of veterans and like have a drive to help them and stuff like that. I think they do, for sure. So I've never been treated badly. I will say that services and organizations designed to help veterans are painfully under-resourced, and I mean it hurts. You'll have one veteran coordinator for up to thousands and thousands of veterans, and one car to do it with. It's like yeah, and I get it. That works off of donation money, but also the DoD has $700 billion, so maybe we can. Maybe we could do a thing. Let's help each other out. Yeah.
So and you
great
bring up a
hearts
good
under
point.
resourced.
I think you bring up a really good point. we've talked about this with other organizations. You know, you got the Department of Defense, then you have the Homeland Security for our coasties, and then you have then we have the Veterans Affairs. You know, the VA, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want the Department of Defense taking care of my transition. I'm sorry. What is their primary mission? Department of Defense is to serve and protect our country, right? We don't want probably not necessarily the best persons to take care of our transition. Well, then you have Homeland Security. What is Homeland Security all about? Well, you know, hey, that's like they're securing the homeland, right? And then you have Veterans Affairs. And they're trying their hardest. But here's the other aspect that a lot of people don't realize: the Department of Labor is also in there as well. So you got a couple different organizations that are already out there. You know, Department of Labor, Department of Veterans Affairs. You have even the Department of Transportation, Department of Agricultural. Like all these organizations are trying to do things to help people out. The only problem is a lot of people don't know about them because there's so much information that it gets drowned out by all the other information.
Definitely.
And another thing to add to that, that's just United States wide, right? Countrywide.
Yeah.
You also have statewide resources. And then if you narrow it down, you also have community resources, right? And we started this journey and we were very unaware of what was out there, right? And we were borderline negative about the situation. And we were very upset. We were like, how is it that nobody is doing anything about this? How is it that, you know, everybody loves to bash the VA because that's the organization that we love to hate and hate to love, right? But by the same token, that's not their business, right? And yet you have other smaller organizations that are, it's like, pick me, I want to help you. And you're like, you're too small, man. Are you real or are you a scam, right? So
we know that's true too.
That's just difficult, and you really don't know what you don't know. You don't know the resources that are available, and mostly, are they vetted, right? So it's one of those things that you have to be very careful with. Luckily, we have been blessed, I would say, by being and you played into a part that is very near and dear to my heart, right? After 21 years in the service, my goal was many goals. Thank you. It's changed throughout the years, right? But this last 4 or 5 years, I was willing and I was planning to stay in Japan for the rest of my life and retire there. A year ago, what happened is like, hey, just kidding, we're sending you to San Diego, right? And he's like, wait, excuse me, no, I want to stay here. No, excuse me. I mean, it was with my best interest in mind. However, it was still very challenging and very difficult. And you mentioned about people that have gone and that are going through that transition, right? Luckily and unluckily, however you want to see it, but luckily I am limb-due and going through a med board, right? So with that, I am kind of stuck in here. The first part of that's what the hell is also unlucky, quote unquote, is I have to figure out my life. I have to figure out everything, move here, start over, resources. The very blessed part about it, right? But by the same token, because I've been proactive with this transition, I've been blessed to be able to reach out to nonprofit organizations that are here to help us out. One of the things that I want to talk about and focus a little bit more is about Hire Our Heroes. I know you mentioned that you were helped by them. I want to hear your experience about them.
Yeah. So they actually work with a bunch of different organizations, right? Starbucks made a pledge to hire 10,000 veterans by, what was it, like 2018, and I think by 2017 they had 18,000 hired, something like that. Well, they did the same thing with King County, and King County implemented a Vets for Hire program where they actually did internships. So in every single department in the county, they opened it up to veterans to try their hand at any one of the county functions. And they paid you salary and you got benefits for it, but it was only open to veterans. And I got into King County information technology with that.
Nice. And what was your rate in the Navy before?
I was an AZ. Aviation Maintenance Administration, man.
I'm really sorry.
Why? Don't be. Don't be sorry.
I mean, I'm an AME and I've been a desk chief safer flight for the last 6 years. So AVs are the pain of my existence, and you know why.
Okay. Think of us. Hey, think Chief, of us. Think of us.
Special like 2 minutes ago on a jet that's flying. Oh, my bad.
We're a team. We're the butter to the toast.
Don't even get me started on your, hey, I was updating CADPad and I realized something's broke.
See.
No, you guys have, so ACs are required to have CADPad. So for our audience that doesn't know anything that we're talking about, right? So ACs, they are administrators. They deal with the paperwork behind every work order / discrepancy that gets documented onto the aircraft. And a desk chief is the person, or a safer flight is a person that is there to make sure that all the paperwork and all the signatures and everything administratively and from every work center is coordinated accurately for the aircraft to be a really safer flight. So these are things that usually happen, and usually happen with junior sailors or junior AZs that have the best intentions in mind. However, they make the big mistake at the same time.
Do you know why? It's because you do not get a desk until you're at least a middle or senior AZ. That's the reason. You file an ass on the floor until you can do your shit. That's why. I'm kidding.
So no. I kind of want to get back onto hiring for heroes, man. So that's really awesome that they worked with Starbucks and they worked with King County, and they really helped veterans find meaningful careers, and you found one inside the IT realm. So after you ended up doing that, so how did you get to where you're at today? That's kind of what I want to know.
Well, I'd say one of the reasons why I stayed in Seattle was because there's a lot of opportunity here, and that still holds true to this day. I work with King County Information Technology, and then when you work with the county, you investigate all the other departments, and they've got transit, they've got sheriffs, they've got botanists, they've got park rangers, all kinds of stuff that you kind of explore where you're at. Well, turns out I wasn't very good at IT, and I'm still not very good at IT, but I am very good at transit. I stayed in IT for a bit, and then I started doing transit work in the community with King County Metro, and then I became regionally famous for some transit justice work that I did. And that's kind of what I do now. I do public speaking engagements and training where I, encourage transit development. I talk to seniors, I talk to the state and things like that. So yeah, a series of connections and bridge building from one network to another can got me pretty far here.
That is fascinating, man. Congratulations, first off. I mean, because that's
Thank
a
you very
huge jump
much.
from going homeless to not knowing where you were going to be the next day to, as you mentioned earlier, you had a massive forward plan and you executed, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I'm sure that there was a lot of the times that since you got out that you faced a lot of adversity,
Oh
but
yeah.
once you face that adversity, instead of stopping and you might have stopped and kind of dusted yourself off, maybe even cried a little bit, and then you say, you know what, I'm gonna keep on pushing. Am I right?
Yeah, I cry a lot. I cry a lot, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's healthy. It's cleansing. I will tell you, one of the most valuable resources, and I will say this to anybody who's about to get out or thinking about getting out or whichever, there is no stronger veterans program. There is no more abundant veterans program, no more helpful veterans program than other veterans. We word of mouth each other real good. We know stuff that we don't know, so we tell us, so we know it. So a lot of the jobs I was able to get, and when I was in school and things like that, I made a lot of really helpful and useful and valuable connections in other veterans, just social groups, even social hikes and veterans clubs and college and stuff like that, and linking up with other veterans, people who kind of speak the same language you do, kind of understand the same background, share the same trauma bond, was one of the most valuable resources that I had available to me post Navy, for sure. I don't think this would have been possible at all had I not connected with other veterans.
Wow.
That's
Wow,
awesome, bro.
wow,
Yeah,
wow. Wow. That
I'm
was
just gonna say
that was
that.
perfect right there, man. Like the network is real. And
The network.
we hear this all the time from many veterans and many
Yeah.
people who have transitioned before us. They
Mhm.
talk about how veterans like to help veterans. There's nothing more resourceful than a bunch of veterans that get together. Not only that, because we kind of reconnect to our tribe a little bit, and then we just
Yes.
kind of sit
And not
there
only
and
do
we
they like to
talk.
have veterans, yeah, yeah. They like to help veterans and they tend to be really, really good at it. With some examples of how they're good at serving veterans are that they always seem to have coffee. It's always available. They just
Well,
have it. It's
that was your
and
second job in
they'll
the Navy,
offer it
right?
to you before they say anything. Huh?
I said that was your second job in the Navy, right? Besides AZ, make sure there was coffee going.
I'm gonna whoop your
Hey,
ass, man.
that,
Your
that
ass is
was
grass, man. I'm gonna fuck you up.
no, Chris. He's only mad. He's only mad because they don't have coffee up there. I'm joking. Only AZ's get coffee. It's the paperwork. No, no, no.
Right,
Yeah, yeah, no. Absolutely. You,
right.
you walk into a fellow veteran's home. If a veteran runs a small organization made up of 4 or 5 people, if they do any mutual aid work in the community before they talk to you, before they ask your name, before anything, they will either have coffee or they will offer you coffee. And I truly don't think people understand how important that is to a veteran. Like, if anything, if nothing else, coffee.
I like it.
It's a really cheap way to get our attention. What can I say?
Nice. So the it's great that we got you on the show, because we talked about how if you don't set yourself up for success early, like we were saying, 24 months before you separate, you may end up finding yourself with a sea bag and a Metro card, trying to figure things out.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
And
and
then
that's
you better be savvy.
brother. And we are so glad to have you on here, because I want to highlight some of the things that we are here for. We're here to prevent suicide in our community, homelessness in our community, and incarceration in our community. That's what our show is all about. And the more that we share our stories, like yours, like brother, I'm so glad that you came on here, man, and told us about your journey, man, and
Thank you
realize
for
that,
having me.
yeah, and realize, guys that are listening to this, guys and gals, uh, we all are here to help each other out.
Yep. Period. I don't
With
know
that
a
being
single
said,
veteran whose door is locked to me.
Yeah.
how can we contact you, Darron?
The
How
best
can we
way to
reach out to
contact
you?
me is best way to reach out to me is through my Instagram at Transit Daddy, but I can also be reached at my email at darronl2131@gmail.com. Remember I said it became locally transit famous? That's Google Transit Daddy, you'll find it. I can be reached by email or with the Seattle Transit Riders Union, which is where my roots lie.
Again, man, hey, thanks for coming on here, man, telling us your story.
Of course.
Is there any saved rounds or alibis before we go into the final questions for? No? All right, cool. What book or podcast do you recommend people to read or listen to?
So, there is a book called, what is it? From Our Mouths, and it's actually written by a teacher here in Seattle, and is a collection of various veteran stories. And I'll hunt down the link and I'll put it in the chat. Yeah, he just collected some from his time teaching at Seattle Central, mostly from students, and there might be some valuable information in there. So, I'll link it in the chat. But yeah, I read that, and I think we touched on it earlier, where it seems like all of these services, and unfortunately, even to an extent, some of these veterans are, we're kind of in this era where we're operating in silos. And I think one of the issues is we're actually not connected enough. You know what I mean? Like, if I should only have to do one intake form, I should be intaked into one veteran thing, and it should get me through all the veteran things. It should just do that, and then the same for vets. I think the more of these silos we take down, the more the walls we take down between each other, and we kind of join and make that whole the whole thing easier.
Sign me up, man. Where do I sign up for that?
Well, I mean, y'all did it. Y'all got the head start. I just work here, bud. I just do the walls.
So, Darron,
yeah,
what would you do, or what would you tell your 18-year-old self if you could go back in time? What advice would you tell him, and why?
Okay. Yeah, first I will tell him not to worry. I would tell him not to worry. This is temporary. You're gonna be fine. I would encourage him to build relationships with vets earlier, and to build better bridges sooner and faster, and to take time to relax, sit, and breathe, because you can do that now. Those are just some things. I think when I got out, I was like 26 or 27 or something like that. I was, still pretty young, so I wouldn't even say I knew a whole lot about myself in the first place. And then when I got out, my entire identity was just Navy. So I would tell myself to spend some time finding out who I am and what I like and what I want to do, and get grounded sooner.
Awesome, man. That's fantastic.
I appreciate it.
The last question for you, brother.
Yeah.
Who out there do you want to thank that helped you through your transition and reintegration?
Man, okay. So first, all my Navy buddies, all of them. There is no stronger bond than a trauma-related one. So these people have gotten me through. They give me life and water. And yeah, without them, I don't know where I'd be. And then another one is you, Chris. You is a person I would like to thank actually for helping me with my transition and stuff like that. For being one of the only chiefs on the ship who was not a complete thorn in my ass in an unhelpful way. You were very helpful. You're very considerate, very compassionate, and you definitely carry your sailors to success to the best you can. And I don't say that about really anybody in the Navy. So,
Bro, I felt like I was a thorn in your side because I would always come up to you and be like, yo, man, let's go up to the berthing real quick and let's have a talk, and remember we'd spend hours together, man. And the Nimitz is one of the tours that really kind of like you guys grew me into what I came. Um, it didn't happen without you guys. Like, you know, yeah. So
oh,
thank you.
respect.
I turned that back on you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, the
Thank you for your service.
Huh?
Thank you for your service.
Oh, shucks. Thank you for yours. Team effort. That's usually my reply. It says to me, "Hello, thank you for your service." I'm like, "Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you for yours. America's a team effort. We all do it."
Love it. Love it.
Love it, man. I like that. Hey, it's a team effort.
It's a team effort. We all doing the thing. Many wars, many vets.
Yeah. So hey guys, I hope you guys look Darron up. He's out there. He's doing the grind, and he's been there in your shoes. So if you're ever find yourself in a situation, I'm telling you what, hit him up because he'll tell you the same thing. Hey, he's like, use the network, man. I'm here for you. So thank you again for sharing your story. Oh yeah,
No problem.
yeah, man.
Thanks for.
So you have anything else, Yogi? Anything else, brother?
Nope, that's all I got. Thank you, Darron.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
All right, everybody. It's not rainbows and unicorns, but your transition is your transition. So take care of it. All right. Hard work. Get to it. Adios, muchachos. We touched on some topics today that I feel that we need to just address. There's courage to call, and if any reason while you're listening to the show, you feel like you're experiencing some past experiences, courage to call 211. They can help you out and process that stuff. They have veterans services available for people that may need to talk to somebody, especially, unlocking some of this stuff. It can bring stuff up. So I understand. So courage to call 211. I hope you guys enjoy the show. And it's been a privilege to be able to be here in front of you guys. Thank you. Do us a solid. Share this content with everyone you know, regardless if they're associated with the military or not. This content will help someone you know and hopefully will lessen the deadly gap after service. Our goal is to do whatever we can to reduce the number of suicides from 22 to 0 within the community. Give us a 5-star review, follow, like, and subscribe. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, TikTok, and you can follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram for more content from our guests. These are our personal experiences, and we do not represent the views of the United States Navy and or the Department of Defense. Your transition is ultimately up to you. Please do your research and ask questions. Use Master Chief Google or ask a friend and network within the community that you belong to. Return to Roots out. Hi, my name is Chris, and I'm going to be your technical assistant today. First step evolution is going to be press that little circle button and hold it down, then hang up with the phone.
Oh,
Don't do that.
You can't trick me like that. I trusted you because of your incredibly regulation haircut. It's so neat. I believed you. You can't. I would trust a guy with that haircut.
Oh man, bro. So